Xbox sales continue to soar. Activision Blizzard announced their first quarter financials, and could Xbox still be looking to make more acquisitions? So yesterday we got the NPD results for March 2022, and the big news out of those results were the console sales and how well Xbox was doing, beating previous records from 2011 in terms of unit sales and then 2014 in terms of dollar sales, and being the best selling console in March 2022 and throughout the entire first quarter of 2022 in overall dollar sales. So this has people asking, how many units did Xbox actually sell in March 2022? And based off of estimates that we can take from looking at how many units they sold of the Xbox 360 in 2011, where they reported that they had sold 433,000 units, it will probably put the Xbox Series X and S at around 500,000 units. Here's a tweet here from William D'Angelo from VG Charts saying, I still need to go through the NPD figures, but here are the VG Charts estimates for March 2022 before adjustments are made. And they have right now the Xbox Series X and S at 555,000 units, just behind the Nintendo Switch, but way ahead of the PS5 at 259,000 units. And that's a big number. 500,000 units within 1 month is a massive number, especially when you're comparing it to the PlayStation 5, greatly outselling it overall in the United States so far in March 2022 and in the first quarter. And yes, the chip shortage plays a role in this, but it's very interesting to think about the strategies behind these two companies, because when these consoles were announced, when Xbox said there would be no more first-party console exclusives that you needed to go out and buy a Series X and S for, a lot of people thought that that was going to cannibalize the console sales and nobody would have a need to purchase an Xbox Series X and S. And we're clearly seeing that is not the case, when right now it's performing better than the Xbox 360, which for a lot of people was one of the greatest consoles they've ever played. One of the best generations for Xbox. It was the best generation for Xbox to date. And it was a very successful console, even with all of the Red Ring of Death issues. Now we have an even better generation so far in terms of how it's performing without any real issues with the console itself, which gives a huge positive outlook for how this console is going to sell by the end of the generation. And that's with absolutely no first-party console exclusives and no first-party exclusives or no big hitter yet within the first 4 months of 2022. So extremely impressive as to how these consoles are pushing forward, and pushes home that narrative that a lot of people, most people, don't pick up consoles just to buy first-party exclusive games, such as with the PlayStation 5, where you have to go pick up the console for that. They're picking up the console that provides them the best value, that I would say objectively is the best console out there right now. And even though it's the one that's available when you walk into a store, if it wasn't a good console, I don't think people would be buying it. But here's what some people have to say to this. If that's true, I bet Sony is super let down in this. Don't think it has to do with Jim Ryan's leadership, but uncontrollable shortages. Sony isn't used to being in third place. If PS5's yield/hardware was this hard to manufacture and Sony knew this from the beginning, why go with it? Response here, hardware specs are locked down a year or two before release, which would be well before shortages were an issue. While it isn't confirmed, I wouldn't be surprised if Sony was upgrading its cloud servers with PS5 to prepare for the relaunch of PS Plus. And that's something, hey, that could be true as well. We don't know this. This is all just speculation, but we do know for the first year of the Xbox Series X, they were taking a lot of the consoles that they produced and just throwing them in to Xbox Cloud Gaming servers to upgrade them. And then once that was done, they were able to start pushing out more consoles to consumers. PlayStation probably, it would be doing the exact reverse of that, because they had to push as many consoles into people's homes within the first year that it was out, because that's was the avenue to get into their ecosystem, to get into the new generation, where Xbox didn't have to worry about that as much with all of the other avenues that you have. Person says, you think Xbox sold over twice what the PS5 did? I mean, I think so, with all the stuff going on right now and how well it is selling. Response here, yes, times are changing. This is no longer the Xbox One era. This gen reminds me of the 7th gen, with all three selling well. This is despite shortages affecting the Series X and PlayStation 5 supply. Series X's and S's are selling very slowly in Europe. Maybe it's different in the US. They seem to be down to single fingers in most stores now after weeks of being in stock in the UK and Ireland, which that we know is not true, because if we go back to this thread here, we can get more information just by the response here that The Xbox was the #1 selling console in the UK in March, ahead of both the Switch and the PS5, and it was the #2 selling console in Europe in March, behind the Nintendo Switch, but ahead of the PlayStation 5. So it isn't just North America where Xbox is currently selling well, it's also selling well in the UK and in Europe overall. So all in all, very impressive numbers, very interesting to see how this is going to play out, but at the end of the day, all this means for gamers is that every console is selling very, very well. And it means this generation has already been really good, but it's just going to continue to get better. That support is going to increase. Developers are going to want to make great games to sell across all platforms. And at the end of the day, we are all winning. All right, jumping over here to some Activision Blizzard news. They announced their first quarter 2022 financials. And as expected, weren't that great from 2021. A lot of stuff has decreased. They aren't doing as well as they want to be doing, and we can see right here in just their overall numbers. But here it is broken down that their first quarter adjusted sales on Monday were hurt by low demand for the latest Call of Duty Vanguard game, which is something we've talked about, that Call of Duty Vanguard is still #1 in terms of the top 20 games in the NPD results, but it didn't do nearly as well as they expected, as they estimated for, compared to previous Call of Duties. And that's a big issue with releasing Call of Duty every single year, is that no matter how well it does, you still have to beat that. Even if you're #1 compared to all other games, the expectations is that the new Call of Duty game coming out, even if it's worse, still needs to sell more than the previous years, which I think is very, very hard to do. It's been doing it for a while, but with Vanguard, we're seeing that isn't the case. So here, Activision's performance has taken a hit from lower premium sales for Call of Duty Vanguard and weaker engagement in Call of Duty Warzone, with a return to pre-pandemic habits pressing gamers to spend less time on their consoles. And we even saw this with the NPD results, that overall sales and money spent within video games in March 2022 is down 15% year over year, which makes a ton of sense with a lot of the world coming back to normal, less people spending money on video games. And I think we're going to kind of see that trend throughout 2022 and going forward, because there were record sales numbers during the last 2 years with the lockdowns and with people needing to entertain themselves and spending money on video games. In terms of their quarterly adjusted sales, they stood at 1.48 billion compared to what analysts had estimated would be at 1.8 billion, and their net income for the quarter ended March 31st fell to 395 million, or 50 cents per share, from 619 million or 79 cents per share a year earlier. So that's the number stuff. But what else was very, very interesting that came out of this report, their quarter report here, was information on Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2, which we know is the next Call of Duty, and the next Warzone. They say here the Call of Duty teams delivered substantial gameplay improvements for Vanguard and Warzone in the first quarter. Development on this year's premium and Warzone experiences, led by Infinity Ward, is proceeding very well. This year's Call of Duty is a sequel to 2019's Modern Warfare, the most successful Call of Duty title to date, and will be the most advanced experience in franchise history. And then the new free-to-play Warzone experience, which is built from the ground up alongside the premium game, features groundbreaking innovations to be revealed later this year. So interesting news there. Stuff we kind of already heard about, but I think Modern Warfare 2 is going to be a pretty big hit, just from the nostalgia perspective of it, of people who grew up playing Call of Duty in that era on the Xbox 360 when it was really in its prime, when it became a cultural phenomenon. Those were the years. Modern Warfare 1, Modern Warfare 2 is really when Call of Duty blew up bigger than it had ever been, which has led to it being the best-selling franchise and the best-selling game pretty much since then, which is crazy to think about. And they're saying it's going to be the most advanced experience in franchise history. I mean, I think they almost say that every single year, but Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2019 I thought was a great game. So really excited for Modern Warfare 2, and then a brand new Warzone experience. And all of this is leading up to when this deal is going to be finalized between Microsoft and Activision Blizzard, where these are going to be Xbox Game Studios games. These are going to be games coming into Xbox Game Pass, and that's extremely exciting to think about. Now, when it comes to the deal itself, the Microsoft transaction, no big revelations here other than they're still expecting this to be going through by June 30th, 2023, saying as announced on January 18th, 2022, Microsoft plans to acquire Activision Blizzard for $95 per share in an all-cash transaction. The transaction is subject to customary closing conditions and completion of regulatory review and Activision Blizzard's stockholder approval. We know there is that stockholder vote that is going to be done by April 28th. So we'll know what the results of that are. I'd be very shocked if that doesn't go through. To continue on here to say the transaction, which is expected to close in Microsoft's fiscal year ending June 30th, 2023, has been approved by the board of directors of both Activision Blizzard and Microsoft. So nothing new there, no revelations. But by June 30th, 2023, this deal should be finalized, complete, officially part of Xbox. And we have all of the stuff that they are working on to look forward to. And finally, jumping over here to some more acquisition talk via Xbox. And we know there's a lot of other acquisition talk going on right now, specifically with Ubisoft, who apparently are looking to sell. Who knows what's going to happen with that? If it's going to be a Microsoft, a Sony who's going to get them, or is it going to be like a Tencent? Who knows? Or is it going to be a private equity firm? That's what now where their preliminary talks seem to be going. But it looks like Xbox isn't done acquisitions. And this is something that we knew. I just personally don't believe that they are looking right now until the Activision Blizzard deal is complete. But Phil Spencer has talked about, I mean, they're always looking to expand their portfolio. And it looks like now they're even hiring, trying to further their acquisitions. So this is a job role that was published on the weekend, and it is for the gaming strategy and development team, who is looking to find a corporate strategy function for Team Xbox. And the job ad reads manager for gaming strategy and development. They say here, we partner closely with the gaming leadership team to identify and evaluate transformative growth opportunities. Our charter includes helping to answer Microsoft Gaming's most challenging business questions, leading gaming's merger and acquisitions program, example, Activision Blizzard, ZeniMax, Double Fine, and identifying and underlining key industry dynamics. Now, some of the responsibilities within this job will include supporting strategic decisions with quantitative and qualitative rigor, identifying key consumer technology business trends, and developing and evaluating the business case for content and technology acquisitions, mergers, and acquisitions. So very interesting. They are looking to expand this role. They're looking to hire somebody new to help with identifying potential merger and acquisition targets, companies, developers, anything like that will help grow the Xbox portfolio, the Xbox Game Studios portfolio. And Phil Spencer was asked about this in the Wall Street Journal. Specifically, this was back in October of 2021, before we heard about the Activision Blizzard deal. We heard about it in January, but we know that in November, that's when they really started talking. I believe that's the information we have about that. But he said, there's no quota. There's no kind of timeline where I have to go and acquire studios by a certain time. But if we find a studio where we have a good fit, we share what we're trying to do and what they're trying to go do. And if we feel we can both get better together, absolutely. And then we know what this happened in January with the Activision Blizzard deal. So lots of stuff going on right now within the games industry. There may be some big news coming out, so that'll be very interesting to see. And then Ubisoft, that's the next one everyone's going to keep their eyes on. But that's it for me, guys. Let me know your thoughts on the Xbox sales, the Activision Blizzard financial results, plus Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 and the upcoming Warzone, and Xbox hiring a new role for mergers and acquisitions. If you enjoyed this video, hit that thumbs up button. If you're new here and you like what you saw, consider hitting that subscribe button. Thank you all for watching. Thank you for your support, and I'll catch you in the next video.